Paris adventure. The children were doing a project on France. Mrs. May showed them some pictures of Paris. Mrs. May showed them a picture of the Eiffel Tower. "It looks very tall," said Biff. After school, Mom came to meet Biff and Chip. Biff had a picture of Paris. "We are doing a project on France," she said. Later, Nadim and Anina came to play with Biff and Chip. Anina had a model of the Eiffel Tower. "I know," said Chip. "Let's paint the French flag." He got a big sheet of paper and they began to paint it. Suddenly, the magic key began to glow. It was time for an adventure. "Oh no," said Biff. "I wanted to finish painting the flag." The magic took them back in time. It took them to a busy town. "There are no cars," said Chip. "This must be a long time ago." "I know where we are," said Biff. "We are in Paris. Look at all the flags." Anina was excited. "We can go and see the Eiffel Tower," she said. The children looked for the Eiffel Tower, but they couldn't find it. "Are you sure this is Paris?" asked Chip. Nadim asked the policeman, "Do you know where the Eiffel Tower is?" he asked. "The Eiffel Tower?" said the policeman. "There's no such thing." Anina asked the lady, "Do you know where the Eiffel Tower is?" she asked. "The Eiffel Tower?" said the lady. "There's no such thing." "I know why we can't find the Eiffel Tower," said Biff. "It hasn't been invented." Just then they saw a man. He was pulling a cart. "Will you help?" asked the man. "I can't get the cart up this step." The children helped the man pull the cart into a hall. The man pulled the sheet off the cart. "This is my model," he said. "What is it?" asked Nadim. "It is a torch," said the man. "It will be taller than all the houses in Paris. People will see it for miles. Here is a picture. It will look like this." The children looked round the hall. There were lots of models. "It's a competition," said Chip. "I know which one will win, the Eiffel Tower." "But I can't see the Eiffel Tower," said Nadim. Some people began to look at the models to see which was the best. "Everyone will see my torch for miles," said the man. "At night, the top will light up like this." He plugged in the torch. There was a loud bang. The top of the torch blew off. Then it fell over with a crash. "Oh," said the man. "It needs a little work." Anina had an idea. She began to lift the broken torch. "Help me, everyone," she said. The children turned the torch upside down. "What does it look like to you?" asked Anina. "It looks like the Eiffel Tower," said Biff. She spoke to the man. "Excuse me," she said. "Why not make the torch into a tower?" "Excuse me," said Anina, "but is your name Eiffel?" "Brilliant," said the man. "Brilliant." Just then the magic key began to glow. "I wonder if that was Monsieur Eiffel," said Biff. "And if that was, how the Eiffel Tower was invented," said Nadim. The Stolen Crown, Part 1. The family went to see an old castle. Most of it had fallen down a long time ago. It's just a ruin, said Chip. Keeper wanted to climb on a wall, but Dad said, "No. We must look after old ruins," he said. "Once upon a time, it was a big castle," said Biff. "I wonder what it was like to live here." Mom found a good spot for a picnic. Floppy saw a rabbit hole. He began to dig in the ground. Chip saw something shining in the dirt, so he picked it up. "It's a glass bead," he said. "I wonder who lost it," said Biff. Chip looked at the bead through his magnifying glass. Then he put it in his pocket. "I don't think it's valuable," he said. Later, Chip came into Biff's room. He had a book about castles. Suddenly, the magic key began to glow. The magic took Biff and Chip back in time. It took them to the castle. Some people were waiting outside a big door. An important man came up. "I am Lord Kent," said the man. "Where is your present for the prince?" Biff and Chip didn't have a present. "Think of something, Chip," said Biff. We have a magic glass," said Chip. "It makes small things look big." "That is a good present," said Lord Kent. "The prince will like it. Put it on this cushion. Then wait outside in the line." At last, Biff and Chip went into a hall. "That was quick thinking, Chip," said Biff. "I wonder who this prince is. He must be important," said Chip. The prince was sitting on a throne. Chip gave him the magnifying glass. "I love it," said the prince. The prince jumped off the throne and looked through the magnifying glass. "Tomorrow is an important day," he said. "Tomorrow I will be the king. You can't call me Henry, but tomorrow I will be King Henry," he said. "Come with me." He ran out of the hall. Henry ran up some stairs. "Come and see my crown," he said. "I want to look at it through this magic glass." Two guards looked at Biff and Chip. "We are here to see that the crown is not stolen," said the soldier. "Hold your arms up. We must search you." Henry took Biff and Chip into a small room in a tower. Biff and Chip gasped when they saw the crown. "It looks very valuable," said Chip. "If it was stolen, I could not become king," said Henry. "But it is safe in this tower. Nobody could take it from here." Henry took Biff and Chip to see his horse. "I shall ride him when I become king tomorrow," he said. Suddenly they heard shouting. Lord Kent ran up to Henry. "Come quickly," he shouted. "Your crown has been stolen." Henry ran back up the stairs to the crown room. The guards were still outside the door. "The crown is missing," said the guard. "How can it be missing?" asked Henry. "We don't know," said the guard. "Nobody has been here except you." "I know who stole it," said Lord Kent. "These children have stolen it," Lord Kent went on. "They used magic to do it. Throw them in a prison at once." "Oh," said Biff. "Now we're in trouble." The Stolen Crown. Part 2. These children stole the crown, said Lord Kent. Throw them in prison. Stop, said Henry. I don't think they stole my crown. Henry spoke to the guards. Who has been in this room today? He asked. You and Lord Kent, said the guard. Nobody could have taken it out of this room, said the other guard. We searched everyone. The children took it, said Lord Kent. We didn't take it, said Biff, and nobody else could get in from the outside. Chip saw something on the floor. It was a broken arrow. He asked Henry to lend him the magnifying glass. Someone tied string to the window, said Chip. I think I know how the crown was stolen. Someone was in this room, then someone outside the castle shot an arrow through the window. It has string tied to it. The person in the room put the string through the crown. Then they tied the string round the spar in the window. The crown slid down the string, then the person in the room untied the string and left. It was easy. I know who stole the crown, said Henry. You, Lord Kent. You want to stop me being the king. Suddenly, Lord Kent ran off. Ha! He shouted. You will not be king. I will. You have lost the crown. Catch him, shouted Henry. Don't let him get away. Biff and Chip grabbed Lord Kent's cloak and pulled him over. Throw him in prison, shouted Henry. Henry ran out of the castle. Come on, he called to Biff and Chip. We have to get my crown back. Suddenly, Henry stopped running. Two men were searching for something in the grass. Keep down, hissed Henry. Don't let them see us. What are they looking for? Asked Biff. One man took the crown out of a bag. This is bad news, he said. The biggest jewel in the crown is missing. We must find it, said the other man. Lord Kent will think we have stolen it. It must be here, said the first man. I hope it didn't fall in the mud. Chip had an idea. In his pocket was a glass bead. Is this the jewel? He asked. No, said Henry. The jewel is much bigger. Give Biff the magnifying glass, Henry, said Chip. And stay where you are. Biff and Chip went up to the man. Biff held the magnifying glass over the bead. Are you looking for this big jewel? She said. We have just found it. Suddenly, Biff dropped the bead. The man bent down to get it. She grabbed the crown and Chip pushed the man into the moat. Splash! Biff threw the crown to Henry. Don't drop it, yelled Chip. Now run! You can't be king after all. I'm glad I'm not a king, said Chip. You just can't trust anyone. But you can trust the magic key, said Biff. It's glowing. Henry was just a boy, said Chip. I wonder if he was king for a long time. Who knows, said Biff. I wonder if he found that missing jewel. Chip in trouble. Wilma's mom took the children to an adventure playground. It was a new playground and it looked exciting. They all wanted to go on the zip wire. Chip went first. It was hard to get on it, so Wilma's mom helped him. The zip wire went fast. Yeehaw! This is scary, called Chip. I love it. Wilma was next, but she felt scared. Then the wind blew and it began to rain. It's too windy and it's raining, said Wilma. I can't go. It's a bad storm, said Mom. Let's go home. We can come back another day. So they all ran back to the car. Wilf and Wilma went back to Biff and Chip's house. They went into Biff's room to play. I hope we go back to the adventure playground, said Wilf. I want to go on the zip wire. Then the magic key began to glow. The magic took the children back in time. It took them to a cliff near the sea. A bad storm was blowing. Suddenly there was a bang. A bright light lit up the sky. Then a girl ran down the path. Behind her was a man on crutches. Will you help us? asked the girl. The storm has blown a ship onto the rocks. The light in the sky was a call for help. We can't help, said Wilma. You need to call the lifeboat. We can't, said the girl. The lifeboat has gone to help another ship. My name is Jane, said the girl. I'm Jane's father, said the man. I should be out with the lifeboat, but I've hurt my back. The ship is stuck on the rocks, said Jane. People are in danger. If you help us, we can rescue them. They ran to the lifeboat station. Jane loaded things onto a donkey. She gave the children long poles to carry. They went back along the path. The waves were crashing over the ship. This is a bad storm, said Wilf. Jane told the children to lash 2 poles together. We must make sure they don't fall over, she said. Jane's father had a special cannon. He shot a line out over the water. The line flew through the air and landed on the ship. Jane tied a rope to the line. The people on the ship pulled it across. Then they tied the rope to the ship. Jane's father put a pulley on the rope. The pulley had a ring tied to it. I get it, said Wilf. The people sit in that funny-looking ring. Now we pull them in, said Jane. And I thought the zip wire was scary, said Wilma. It was hard pulling the people across the pulley. The rope dipped in the middle and it swung in the wind. The last to come was the captain. I've lost my ship, but you've saved our lives, he said. Thank you. Jane looked at the children. Thank you for helping us, she said. Then the key began to glow. I'm glad I wasn't on that ship, said Wilma. The zip wire at the playground won't seem scary now. Not even in a storm? asked Wilf. Homework. Everyone was excited. It was half-term. For homework, said Mrs. May, I'd like you to keep an autumn diary. Oh no, said Biff. Homework. Chip phoned Gran. We can't stay with you all week, he said. We've got to keep a nature diary. It's homework. Don't worry, Gran replied. We can get the homework done and have some fun. The next day, Dad took Biff and Chip to Gran's. They picked up Nadim on the way. He was going too. It will be fun at Gran's, said Biff. I know, said Nadim. But when will we get time to write our nature diary? They got to Gran's, but she didn't come to the door. How odd, said Dad. She knows we are coming. Let's look in the garden. There were lots of things in the garden. How odd, said Biff. Why has Gran put sunbeds out? It's not summer. Suddenly, Gran opened the door of the shed. Surprise, she said. The children looked inside. They all gasped. I've made a nature laboratory, said Gran. We can do the nature project in here. It will be fun. Gran took the children into the woods. Let's start with the trees, she said. They collected lots of different leaves. Gran gave Nadim paper and crayons. Put the paper against the tree, then rub the crayon over it, she said. It's called a bark rubbing. Back in the laboratory, they looked at the bark rubbings. Each type of tree has different bark, said Nadim. They stuck the leaves in their diaries. Gran had seeds from the trees. We will plant these in pots, she said. One day they will grow into trees. The next morning, Gran got up early. She mixed seeds and nuts with melted fat and poured it into little pots. What is that smell? Asked Chip. Breakfast, said Gran. I don't want to eat that, said Biff. It's not for you, said Gran. It's for the birds. When the fat had set in the pots, Gran hung them in the garden. We can watch the birds, she said. In the afternoon, Gran took them to a special place in the woods. Now, for a secret, said Gran. Look! The children looked around. There were colored mushrooms everywhere. It's amazing, gasped Nadim. Look, but don't touch, said Gran. On the way home, Chip found some marks in the mud. Are they animal tracks? He asked. Gran got some powder out of her bag. She mixed it with water and made a paste. Then she poured the paste onto the animal track. This is plaster, said Gran. It would dry in the shape of the animal track. It's called a cast. They took the cast back to the lavatory. Biff looked up the animal track in a book. It's from a badger, she said. Tonight, I have another surprise, said Gran. We need to wrap up warm and we'll need the sunbeds. Sunbeds? Asked Biff. They lay on the sunbeds and looked up. Sky was full of shooting stars. This is amazing, said Chip. And it's your homework, said Gran. Olympic Adventure. The children were doing a project on Olympic Games. Tomorrow we will go to the museum and next week it's Sports Day, said Mrs. May. Everyone can enter a race on Sports Day, said Mrs. May. I think the girls should have a sewing race, laughed one of the boys. After school, Anina and Wilma went to play with Biff. Anina was cross. Some boys are so silly, she said. The magic key began to glow. The magic took the girls back in time, to a village in Greece. A boy was calling to the villagers. Follow me to the games, he said. Can we go too? Asked Biff. Anyone can, come, said the boy. As long as they are male. The man and the boys from the village went to the games. "It's not fair," said Nina. "Let's follow them," said Biff. Outside the games, there were lots of guards. They only let men and boys into the games. "We'll never get in," said Biff. "I wish we could see," said Wilma. Nina had an idea. "Let's climb a tree," she said. The girls climbed an olive tree. They could see the games. They watched the race. Lots of men ran with shields. The winner won a prize. The prize was a vase. A man put a crown on the winner's head. Then the girls watched some men throwing discs as far as they could. "Hey, you!" shouted a girl. The girl was under the tree. "If anyone catches you here, you'll be in for the high jump," she said. "Then why are you here?" asked Biff. "I'm picking olives," said the girl. "My name is Hera. You'd better come with me to the village." In the village, they met Hera's friend Mila. "It's always quiet when the games are on," said Mila. "It's so boring." Suddenly, Nina had an idea. "Can you get all of your friends together?" she asked. The girls in the village came to the meeting. "This is my grandmother," said Mila. "She paints the vase for the games." "Listen, everyone," said Nina. "Why should boys have all the fun? Let's have a girls' Olympic Games." There were all sorts of races and all the girls took part. There was a 3-legged race and a sack race. Mila's grandmother gave the girls some old plates. The girls threw them like discs. They threw them as far as they could. The girls had an olive and spoon race. Biff dropped her olives, and Hera slipped on them. Mila's grandmother painted the girls on a vase. Hera made some crowns from olive twigs. "We're all winners," she said. The boys and the men came back. "Girls doing sports?" said one boy. "That will never catch on." Suddenly, the magic key began to glow. The next day, Mrs. May took the class to the museum. There was a display about the Greek Olympics. In a glass case, there was a broken vase. "A long time ago, a girls' Olympics began," said Mrs. May. Nina looked at the boys. "And did the idea catch on?" she asked.